Well, well, well. What have we here?
You hung up so fast.
No, I hung up after 4 rings, buddy.
Jesus.
I usually get the voicemail at 4 rings, so no reason to,
Oh.
sit through
Well,
that nonsense.
we are back. We haven't done this in a while. The car edition of the podcast.
Oh, you didn't tell me it was a car edition.
Right, because then you wouldn't have called.
Why? Well, that's the idea. I'm trying up the quality of these things, especially since I think it's just you and me these days doing these things. So,
Right.
uh, you know, I'm trying to give people a better experience, and you keep wanting to drag them into the.
But you're lucky. At least I show up for my job here.
I know. I appreciate that. You,
Look, it could be worse. I could have a crying baby next to me.
you, well, yeah. Well, apparently there's plenty of excuses to not to no show no call, but we'll I'll have to deal with that problem this week. Maybe we're just expanding this to 3 episodes a week and calling it a day.
Oh, wow! I may get the bump.
You can be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and we'll keep it simple, stupid, because everything else seems to be a fucking nightmare. So yeah, enough shooting on Marco. How was your weekend, buddy?
I mean,
How was your holiday
look,
weekend?
it was fantastic. I hiked. I did some cool things. I had the Canadian in town and the Marylandic in town. I don't know if that's a real word, but yeah, no, I did some cool stuff. But and I got to watch that amazing AEW pay-per-view,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
I know you watched.
dude. I could just talk about that for an hour because that thing was awesome. And I mean, we might alienate some people that don't like wrestling, but considering you're a professional wrestler and you're going to be wrestling November 7th, see how I work the plug-in,
Right.
against the great Billy Fives, that
The great. Come on, stop jerking his chain here.
I'm just saying that those that know, and I don't think anyone in the business that's run across Billy Fives, isn't gonna say kind words about him. So,
Look, he is a fantastic fella.
I mean, I wasn't saying as a person.
Hold on. Let me bookmark this one.
Right.
Okay, 2 minutes and 56 seconds.
I've already dug a hole for myself that I'm not sure I can
Not a
fill.
great person in real life.
I
Only
didn't
a great wrestler.
I didn't say he wasn't. I just didn't say he was.
He was.
It was like a non-denial denial.
Oh
Oh,
God.
I'm in trouble now. If See, now here's where I can just rely on your innate laziness to, by the time this podcast is over, have forgotten.
Forget, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
and then or that it's too much work to just go on Facebook and narc me out. So I feel safe throwing the jab in that early. Yeah, no, the podcast was. I mean, not the podcast. The pay-per-view was great. It.
Fantastic.
I was telling you. I guess it was either earlier today or yesterday that it feels like the late 90s, like 96, 97,
Right.
all over again. And that was like the golden era of wrestling. Like there was no better time to be a wrestling fan. And it's crazy that you and I
Right.
have been around and been watching the product so long that we've seen it come full circle to another cycle of this that nobody ever thought would happen. Whoever thought that some billionaire would
Right.
come in and actually succeed at creating something that's actually good, and now there's a problem. I mean, I think he has created a destination that wrestlers would rather be at than the WWE. You would think that's impossible, that they're too big and there's too much success over there, but I have a feeling in the next couple of years you're going to see a lot of people not even interested in talking to them.
Well, I this is like for me, this is, and I know you felt the same way, even though you had sleeping Blake sitting next to you. I just had to get a shot in. So, you know, watching the pay per view, obviously, lifelong wrestling fan. WWE completely bores me. It makes me hate wrestling. Uh, Watching the pay per view the other night, I didn't even realize it was when it ended. That's number one. I didn't realize what time it was because I was so invested.
Right.
We're at midnight or something, or on midnight, right?
Yeah, this was the first one where I wasn't like looking at my watch and
Right.
going, "Oh my God, it's just too damn long." You know, like
Right.
like they have good pay-per-views. That company puts on a good product, but even so, they run long, and you usually feel it. You didn't feel it then. Was Sunday night? Yeah, you didn't.
I didn't feel it at all. Right?
I didn't feel it
and
either.
that's number one. Number two, numerous times I caught myself clapping on the couch as if I was there, like, which is something I would have done when I was younger in my teenage years, watching, you know, WCW and Monday Night Raw, like when they were head to head. Like I would clap.
Yeah.
I a couple times stood up in front of the TV like I was like a 6-year-old child,
yelling and
right.
jumping off the couch. Yeah.
Yes, and then and you know what? There was even when at the end of the tag match, there was the Lucha Bros against the Young Bucks. When the match was over, I got emotional because I could feel their emotion. And then when his kids came out and hugged him, I lost it.
Well,
I
because
started to tear up.
yeah, because especially since it was the scary one of the two of them that
Right,
has
right.
the three little girls. They brought them out. It was probably a bit of an effort. It didn't look like they were like front row. They were just somewhere in the audience, and they brought them out, and he hugged each one of them, which was crazy because he was covered in blood. And each kid he would hug and kiss on the cheek, and when they pulled away from him, their clothes and their face were bloody.
Right,
And they're like tiny.
I
They were. I don't think the oldest one was 12 out of the three.
they were crying.
Yeah.
And I got emotional and I started to tear up, and I'm like,
You're breaking up because you're in a
I'm
goddamn
so
car.
involved.
You're breaking up because you're in a goddamn car. I'm gonna kill you.
Who's breaking up? I'm not breaking up. I hear
did.
you.
You did. No,
No,
you're breaking up.
It's because my headphone was dying. I switched headphones out. I think that's what happened.
Oh. Well, you should.
You got the beeps.
You shouldn't be.
And they cut out.
You shouldn't be in mid sentence when you do it.
Yeah, I had to switch there.
Yeah. You should wait till I'm talking.
I got emotional.
Yeah.
You know that part, and wrestling hasn't made me feel emotional in a long time.
But you know what's cool is that like the details of that match alone. I watched it again, and at the end of the match, Penta, the one we're talking about, Pentagon, he cares so much about the product that even after the match is over, he keeps with his glove. He wears gloves and he's got a mask on. And the mask is kind of torn, so it's easier to get his hand up there. But he kept, even after the match was over, he kept sticking his finger up under his mask to keep the cut bleeding for the effect. You know, like for the because he cares about the product and the integrity of whatever he's creating here. To the point where when they handed them the belts, he made sure to dig it again and bleed all over the title. And then when he went to do the media interviews afterwards with Tony Khan, his belt is covered in blood. And I'm waiting to see if when he comes out Wednesday, if his belt is still covered in blood. It may sound weird to like a non-wrestling fan, but I feel like this is just like that's his character, and that's like the details and the care and effort he's putting into just the details of the story and of what's going on with the product. It's kind of cool. I knew what they were doing when he threw that bag over the cage. I knew it had a change of sneakers in it.
You did? How'd you know that?
Because there's total sneakerheads, and every week on their vlog, they're out buying 2 or 3 pairs of sneakers. So I just had a feeling that it was going to be that.
That was a cool spot. That was a cool spot for sure. Yeah.
But it wasn't. It wasn't just a new change of sneakers. It was a sneaker where the sole was covered in thumbtacks pointing outward.
right.
They basically put a weapon on his foot, which was crazy. But what were you gonna
I,
say?
I like no, it's just wrestling's all about. I learned this when I went to the Ring of Honor camp. I don't remember what year I went, and I remember I want to say it may have been Delirious or said it, or maybe Mike Bennett. It could have been Carino. Wrestling is all about moments, right? So you could have a wrestling match for 20 minutes, but you're going to remember moments in that match, right? And that's what they want you to. They want you to. They don't expect you to remember the whole match. They just expect you to remember those key moments. But that match had so many moments that when things would happen, I would say to myself, "Oh my God, that was a moment!" Like, and not every match had that on the card, but
Well,
that cage match had so many significant moments. And when it's a moment when it's this crazy sequence, and then all of a sudden it's a lull, and
yeah.
they're all down, and I'm like, wow, like that is just it draws you in, it brings emotion, and like you feel it. And that match had so many of them. I was like,
Well,
this is amazing.
ironically, that match had so many of them, but then the show had so many matches
Right.
with moments. Like if you want to go match by match, there's a lot of them that had moments, and even the Punk one, I don't know that it had moments other than the fact that they basically decided to recreate like a famous match from the past,
Right.
which was like its own kind of cool like flashback moment or something. And then all that's overshadowed by non-wrestling moments at the end of the show.
Right.
So it was like you want to say it was total overkill and most of the moments were a waste, but it was so enjoyable. I wouldn't even say that. I don't know where you would put it in terms of all-time pay-per-views you've ever watched. Like if it's in a top 5 or 10 for you, but for me, it was up there. It was especially.
I would say it's top five.
Yeah.
Just from the how many moments we got out of that, I would definitely say it was top five.
Right. That's
There's
fair.
no doubt.
That's fair. But then it's like, I mean, and we can argue with like decisions that they made on the show, but
Right.
But I think that like as a show itself, it was for sure for the last like 10 years. It's one of the best efforts anyone's ever put forward in a long damn time.
Everything, even again, we may be boring people with wrestling talk, but honestly, I don't care because
this is the wrestling talk episode. If it segues into a story of you wrestling, then whatever. But
there will be at the end. But
yeah,
I like when you think about from the start of the show to the end and all the different things that happen. Even the Big Show in QT, like had a purpose, and it was the right amount of time with the right amount of purpose, and it works perfectly.
And it wasn't supposed to be like you knew
right
when it started that it was going to be a 5-minute match.
It served its purpose.
Yeah.
And got over the story, which I think wrestling as well. For anybody who doesn't watch wrestling it thrives on the stories and also the emotions and the moments, but the stories and some of the stories that happened Sunday were like Jericho and MJF was like a year in the making.
Yeah.
Like they took a story and they had a plan and they stuck to it, which I feel WWE does not do anymore. WWE is so quick to run a story and it's over in 2 weeks, or they end it and just act like it never happened. Everything on that show had a story.
Yeah.
And I think that's the drive. I listened to
it. If there was maybe one match that didn't have a well thought out long story, it was the opener. It was Miro and Eddie Kingston. That was the only one that seemed like thrown together in 2 weeks to put on the pay-per-view. But everything else.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And they also had issues with, I think, Pac and Andrade couldn't wrestle, whatever it was.
So there was a travel issue or something.
Right. So, Right. So I think they had they may have known that a couple weeks ago and
But
added that extra match.
but what's funny is they created storyline out of it. I don't know if you saw the
I know.
where
I did the
they
promo.
they made it look like Chavo canceled the flight.
Right. Right.
So that's funny. I mean,
Right.
and maybe that ends up getting Chavo fired in the long run, and they bring Flair in for him because since his
Right.
father-in-law's hanging out every week there, anyways.
Right. Yeah. So like look, I don't know. I think everything had a good build to it. Like you think when you go through Jericho and MJF, easily a year in the making, maybe even more. Right? Could be more.
Didn't you feel going into that you're wondering why they're doing it because it wasn't like best of kind of thing. He had lost 3 to him, so this was the 4th match. That was just Jericho wanting to win one, or he was going to quit wrestling. I mean, it creates some drama, tension, and you're always with Jericho. You're always believing that he could lose a match like that because he's got the band, and they may be wanting to go on tour for 6 months or something.
Right.
So you would believe that he could lose that match. So so going into it, you don't know what's going to happen, which is half of the excitement of watching a predetermined fight.
Right. Yeah.
But leading up to it, I was a little like, this doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But then the way they presented it and the way they told the match, it was fun, and it just made sense. It resolved itself, and I feel like those two aren't going to cross paths for a while.
Yeah, I agree.
If ever again, I think you got new blood coming in, and all these big names. Like now, after you've established MJF as this guy that could beat Jericho 3 out of 4 times, now it's like, all right, now you get to wrestle CM Punk and you get to wrestle Bryan Danielson and all these guys, and again, build your homegrown guys. Your future. Which I think is the key to bringing all these dudes in. That's why CM Punk worked Darby Allin. Like, there's no reason to have all these ex-WWE guys come in and just work each other. We've seen that already.
And I don't feel like a situation Punk wins and it didn't make Darby look bad.
Oh, no.
It made Darby look better.
100%. I feel like that's... I mean, because, look, you're still like... At the end of the day, it's still CM Punk. The guy...
Right.
Didn't he beat The Undertaker for the title? I mean...
Yeah, right.
I mean, he's supposed to win a match, even if it's coming off the couch 7 years having not wrestled. But if as long as he looks like he was competitive against CM Punk, it does nothing but help Darby Allin.
But again, you want to talk about moments. The thing that I remember most about that match, I don't remember him pinning him, I remember after the match. After the match where Sting was there and they shook hands and he made Darby look like he was a star. I remember that more than Darby losing the match. Like, to me, that was putting him over. Like,
it's like
this kid just hung with a fucking world champion.
It's
you know what I mean?
He's
a world champion.
It's like when Undertaker validating Jeff Hardy.
Right.
After they had their match, and then he shook his hand and kind of acknowledged to the world, this guy deserves my respect. It basically puts the light on him and says, if Undertaker says he's the future, he's the future. And this is what you're doing with CM Punk.
I just didn't feel like him losing meant anything. It was fine because he gave you the end where he puts him over, raises his hand, they shake,
honestly,
they hug.
Darby Allin, it doesn't hurt him to lose, as long as it's to a worthy opponent. It's his win-loss record is not it's not relevant in the big scheme when you're losing to the big names, and not losing pathetically or getting squashed or however you want. But if you look at what they're doing, even the guys who are there now, it's like you got Miro's working Eddie Kingston. It's not like he's working another guy they signed from the WWE. They're not doing that, which is very nice. Even Christian Cage is validating I mean, Omega was the biggest indie guy in the world anyways, and
Right.
heavily recruited by the WWE, but he'd never been there. So this is you're pairing technically a homegrown guy with a WWE import. They did it all across the board that night. Even QT Marshall and fucking Big Show.
Big Show.
Everyone. It was like
Right.
they're not letting these guys, kind of inbreed again with WWE fighting.
Right.
Who cares? Nobody needs to see us. Not now. Like a year from now, when these guys have kind of established new characters and new storylines, then you can have some kind of Brian Punk, who's the best in the world for the name kind of match or something like that. But no need to come out of the gate and do it for sure.
No, right. And I think, building the talent is what they do better. WWE does not do a good job of that. They do a good job of burying the young guys, but not building them.
Right. Adam Cole even.
I think about right. I think about Ricochet. That guy could be easily on AEW, Ricochet, and be a star all over the world, right?
Yeah.
And I forget he's even there.
How
in WWE.
How many of these guys do you think that are with the WWE right now, when their contracts come up, are they going to be like, yeah, no?
Well, even from a point of, okay, you're a WWE contracted guy, you're miserable, you don't want to be there. Even if AEW is not going to pick you up, the options right now, first of all, the independent wrestling scene is on fire. Yes. Absolutely on fire.
Yeah.
You have Impact,
when you look,
you have ROH.
When you look and you see Cardona AEW. In front of how many people was that in front of that he won that belt in that death match?
I mean, a couple hundred. There was a lot of people there, but not thousands.
I think the room the next night, when he lost it to Mox, that looked like it had 1,500 people in it to me.
Right, probably. Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
it was in Chicago.
Yeah. Well, whatever. But yeah, there's plenty of places to land. I don't know where those other companies are getting their money, but if you want to talk about either Mexico or Japan, they've got money to pay people. AEW's got money to pay people. Doesn't look like Ring of Honor is competing for any of this, but Impact seems to be paying people. And
yeah, but like I watched Ring of Honor highlights from ECW Arena last weekend or 2 weekends ago.
Yeah, absolutely
packed, standing room only. I mean, packed to the gills. Like people are going to wrestling.
Yeah, well, that's the point. Yes,
right, and it doesn't matter like where or what. I see pictures of Independence in Podunk, Idaho, and there's a couple thousand people. I'm like, holy shit, everyone is drawing.
Right,
and
so
WWE, I feel like, is the shit of it all.
So we were get back to saying is that even if AEW is not hiring you, you could be making way less money on the independent scene, but supplementing your income way more in terms of you're going to make more money on shirts on pro wrestling tees. And if you're one of these guys, look at a Ricochet. Does he even have a shirt with the WWE?
No. Right.
So 20% of something is better than 100% of nothing. When you're not, when you don't even have a shirt in WWE, what are we even talking about? And then your Twitch and you're this and you're that and you're, I mean, trust me, you could do your podcast, all this stuff that's verboten when you're working for the WWE, which is why some of these guys are leaving. I mean, when you hear Adam Cole, and one of his reasons for leaving is that I had to keep my Twitch stream. I had to keep it. That was now that it seems a little disingenuous. I have a feeling, regardless of the Twitch stream, his mind was made up a long time ago because he was one of the lucky guys to be dating someone that works in AEW and had visited many times. So he had been in the environment and seen how people treat each other over there, and also firsthand information from her on how things are run, et cetera, et cetera. And the fear of you look at the other problem is that once you leave NXT, your career's dead. They just bury you. They will either change your name or change everything about you, including your look, your entrance.
Look at Karrion Kross.
Right, your look, your entrance, your your wife who's your manager. They strip all that from you. They dress you up like 1980s Demolition,
Right.
and expect the same results. And it makes
Right.
so you can't trust them. And then they've fired 200 people over the last 2 years. And by people
Right. Right.
I mean wrestlers. They have fired 200 wrestlers. So there's no even you sign a contract there. There's no guarantees. The only guarantee is when they fire you, you're not allowed to work anywhere else for 90 days.
Right. Right.
What kind of fuck job is that? As an independent contractor, which is what they want to call you, you're not even allowed to do. If you're an independent contractor, why can't you have a Twitch stream? Why can't you do this? Why can't you do that? Why can't you take side stuff if it doesn't interfere with your wrestling schedule? Instead, they treat you like you're a full salaried employee with benefits. So
Right.
the hypocrisy,
with zero benefits.
the hypocrisy, just mind bending. And so
Yeah.
I think all these people see it, and they're like, they look at WWE and they're like, well, first of all, they're not to be trusted on any level, and then
Right.
and there's no guarantee there. So
Yeah. No, I know. Well, so and all of this comes down to this: is I watched it Sunday, and I went through so many emotions that I literally said to myself, I want to wrestle again. I
yeah,
don't want to just wrestle Billy Fives. Like, I don't want to wrestle just Billy Fives and end it. Like, I really would love to get into shape and do another year of just taking independent bookings and not even like I don't want to bump. I hate wrestling. Like, it has nothing to do with the actual wrestling. It has to do with it's hot right now. I want to perform in front of fans. I
you want to perform, you want to
enjoyed that
entertain, you
part.
want to entertain.
Right. I like to entertain. And I mean, that's why I have a TikTok. And
And a
I'm
podcast.
like, and a podcast. Right. I really would love to start wrestling again.
Now, I'm not throwing water on your fire here. What I am doing is ask you to pump the brakes. Do your match with Billy and see how you feel. And by the time you have your match with Billy, I have a feeling your TikTok numbers are going to be like 200, 250,000. When you start getting to that number, maybe you can shop yourself around a little bit, especially with footage of your match with
Right.
Billy recently, to pick and choose some places you want to work with, some people you want to work with, instead of what I feel you would do, which is take some shit bookings, be miserable, and then be ready to quit right away.
Right. So Billy will be my first one. I'm not doing anything before that,
Good.
November 7th. And then after I defeat him and become king of the independents, after I,
Give me king of the over 50s.
right, king of the old guys. I would love to. I think your plan is exactly right. And then I don't want to work shitty bookings, right? I don't want to work for some guy in South Carolina making $25. Like, I'm not going to do that. But would I go work a show for TK and Josh? Fuck yeah.
For friends. Yeah. But
Well, not only that, but like I watched their last show in South Carolina. I watched it, some of the highlights, and that place was. I mean, they packed a brewery again, and a packed brewery of rabid fans. Like, there's nothing better than that. I don't care if it's only 200 people. It was so close. It looked so close. And I remember the last show I worked for them, and I did the Fruit Loops and then slam the guy into the Fruit Loops and all that crazy, stupid comedy shit. But I just watched the match again recently, and I was like, holy fuck, that was one of the most fun matches I've ever had. And it was because the crowd was so into the stupidity that, it made it fun. But I think after Billy, I'll assess the situation, and I think I could take some bookings. There's a couple. When I started to think about this Sunday, there's people that I want to work, more so than places I want to work. Like, obviously Billy is the first one. I would love to work Josh Powers, because I don't feel like we got to finish anything from years past because of me. I became lazy and fat and could care less about wrestling, and I feel like we could finish something and have a good match. I want to work John Schuyler again because I enjoyed working him a couple times, and I know he's like at a super high level now. I think he's signed by Impact now, and he did some AEW. I want to work him again. I want to work at pro wrestling, the PWF, whatever, that I used to be the champion at for Carino. I want to work there again because my banner's still up, and I feel like I dropped the title after a year title reign, and I know it's fake, but I never got to go back. Like, I just dropped the title and never went back because of politics and pay and all that. But I think I think I would like to go there and work one more time.
Yeah.
And maybe even work Colby, because I've only worked Colby. I've tagged with Colby and I worked Colby once, but I would like to work.
Okay, sorry, something hiccuped, but I caught it right away. So, technical difficulties. Yeah. Colby might be too much of a big shot for you now. He might not have time for you.
Right, maybe, but we'll see. And then I think about if I know if I can get in really good shape and actually care. Like, NWA runs in Georgia and Atlanta all the time. Like, I've got some connections there. I don't even care if I have to go get beat up by somebody. It would just be cool to do it one time. And
I mean, it's cool
to
work for the Smashing Pumpkins guy. I mean, Billy Corgan has a wrestling company. Right. That's fucking cool.
Right. And the NWA, the history of it, and even if it was just to go do a jobber, or I would love to do that. I would love to.
Okay, we're back. All right, let's see if the third time's a charm here.
Unfucking believable.
Yeah.
Look, this is not my fault, everyone, today.
Hold on.
Flawless episode here. Still holding on.
Yeah, the thing freezes. I don't know what's going on. God damn it.
Shiny fucking equipment you got.
Yeah, I don't know. All right. It seems to be rolling now. What can I tell you?
Well, here we go.
Nope, it's stopping again. Oh, here it goes. I don't know.
Are we good or are we not good?
No, it keeps stuttering, but I don't know. I'm hoping
it's trying to tell me something, like I'm talking about my comeback and it stops.
Yeah, like it might be the Lord sending you a message.
Not today, pal. Oh God, are we recording?
I don't know. It keeps freezing and then it looks like it ran again. It's almost like it's pausing, but it is recording everything. I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. I have bad feelings about this episode.
The whole episode?
No, just the last few minutes since I said hold on. Anyway, yeah, the other idea is, like, if you become the traveling TikTok guy, you could try and schedule matches in places you're going to go. And
true.
Be the TikTok draw that everyone wants to book on their shows. If they know you're going to draw 50 people to the building.
Right. I mean, I probably could get a nice gig in the UK.
Yeah, I don't know how work visas or how that works, if you're allowed to just go over there and wrestle or not. Or if you have to do it for no money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't have a clue either.
Yeah, you'd probably have to look at it.
I don't know how that works.
Yeah. You might be fucked. Because I think that's why the Iconics hadn't started wrestling anywhere. Hadn't taken any gigs, was because they had some kind of work visa issues after getting let go from the WWE.
Which makes sense. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. See, she fucked up. She married a Canadian instead of an American.
Right. Well, yeah, I don't know. I think Billy will be my first test. If I can get through that and really get into good shape for the new year, the next year, 2022, right? Is that what year we're in? I don't even know what year we're in. 2021.
Yeah, we're in 21 still.
If I can get, and then 2022 kind of start and maybe do a year of putting in some work. And if I would love to not just wrestle here. Like, I want to go wrestle in New York and California and, maybe another shot for Drexel up in Portland. And, those shows were fun.
What do you mean another shot? You worked one up there?
I worked for Drexel twice.
In Portland?
Yeah.
You did? I didn't even know that. Oh, when you were in California, I don't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember you telling me much
I worked twice. Yeah, I worked twice, and it was what's his name was there? The MMA guy. Stephen Bonner was there at the one. He got
Although,
involved.
let's not bring up Stephen Bonner these days.
Oh, does he have heat?
There's like a video like from a day or two ago of him like trying to get opioids from a fucking pharmacy and they wouldn't let him have them, and he was acting like a fucking like a pillhead desperate for a fucking pill. It's not a pretty sight. It was someone recorded the audio of it or something. I didn't watch it because I didn't want to see the guy.
Right.
I didn't want to see the guy like that, but basically, I think he was.
Yeah,
he was.
he was there at the show. He got involved.
Yeah,
but
who did you wrestle?
So the first time I did a 4-way, and I ended up working with a guy, Ricky Gibson. He is a friend of Blake's from Portland, and we really had good chemistry. And then it was a 4-way, and then the second time I think he did a tag match or something, but it was fun. The crowd was really fun. They ate up the Breakfast Club stuff.
Yeah,
We did the donut spots and all that stupid shit. Which and I don't even know coming back like. Do I want to be full comedy or do I want to like actually be a wrestler? I think I kind of want to do a mixture of both because I mean I know how to work. I just I get lazy.
Well, I think you do the comedy, and then it's almost like the Orange Cassidy thing, where like you're doing the comedy,
Right.
and then bam, you hit that fucking like drop kick and show them some athleticism, and everyone all of a sudden is in shock because you haven't been exhibiting much of anything up to that point.
Right.
And then you hit something you're known for your drop kick. It's pretty impressive. You get up there. I don't know about anymore. You might
50 pounds ago.
you might get be drop kicking to people's knees.
Shin.
Yeah. But yeah, that would be the idea, I assume, because you're not gonna all of a sudden start putting on these mat classics.
No, not happening.
So yeah, that's. I mean, to be honest, like if you put enough work in for a year, I would not be surprised if you could get a fucking dark match on fucking over in Jacksonville with the AEW. I mean, they'll let anyone fucking wrestle those shows. And that's not a knock. That's not a knock on you as much as it's just like, I mean, we know a lot of people that have had a few matches there, and we're like, well, if they can do it,
Right, and I know. I mean, the other part to this was watching it on Saturday. I watch Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston's close to my age. I watch Chris.
And
Chris Jericho's 52.
And all the credit in the world, Eddie Kingston. The guy can talk. The guy can tell a story in the ring, but physically, that guy does not look like a fucking wrestler. That guy, that guy's built. I mean, you look more like a wrestler right this second than he does. Honestly,
yeah,
he's all he is pot belly.
Right. Well, at least I have a little bit of muscle.
Right. That's I'm just saying. Like
but I watch
and he's working
he's
at the top
age.
level. So
Right, and he's worked as long as I have. I watched him. I watched Chris Jericho's 52 years old. I watched Kojima, 52 years old from Japan. Suzuki's 50-something years old. You watch Christian Cage, 48 years old. And I'm watching these guys. Even Omega. Omega's my age. Like, the Young Bucks they're in their 30s. Like, these aren't young guys. And I'm like, wait, Finn Balor in WWE is 40 years old. AJ Styles is 45.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why am I over here the last 2 years I've done nothing because I thought I was old. Like, I'm not even close to being old yet in wrestling.
I mean, you're older than they are in terms of where you
I'm out of shape.
Right. But I mean, that's up to you, man. That's whatever. I guess whatever you need to motivate yourself, I guess.
Well, I think wrestling will make me. It'll make me happy again if I do it the right way. I'm not like going to take. You said I'm not going to go work in bumfuck South Carolina for a hot dog and a handshake just to say I wrestled. Like that doesn't do it for me.
Well, they like not to keep mentioning CM Punk, but he said to quote him, he said, "No is a full sentence in our house." It's like tell people fucking no.
Right.
when they want you to do that shit, even if they're friends or you owe them a
Right.
favor. You know, that's not the favor you're gonna
Yeah.
get. You know.
Right. Right. Yeah. And I don't want. I want to do what I want to do, and work going to work. And with my TikTok page, you get somebody. I can get somebody to bite and be like, oh, I mean, I think I'll be at 200,000 followers by hopefully next week, because at this pace I'm going now, I mean, I'm almost at 180,000 already.
Yeah.
You know, and next year I could be at 250, 300, and if it continues, and I think that's like I can use it as kind of like a pull, to be like,
Oh,
hey,
for sure. It's like it may even be your main bargaining chip. You know.
right, right, and I would love to document this journey in a YouTube like channel of like, and maybe even document the whole journey and see how that goes. But I just
You're
I got
too
to start.
you're too lazy. You're too lazy.
Well, yeah, yeah.
I mean,
But
if
I
you're
am not lazy enough. I
if
will say
if you were living
I'm
in
lazy.
Boca, they would happen because your friend Ben would just show up everywhere and film
Right,
everything and edit it together and upload it for you. But your friend Ben
right.
has no interest in a long
No,
distance
you know that.
relationship other than the one we have right now.
I will say I'm lazy, but I am not lazy enough to remember at 2 minutes and 55 seconds of this podcast you took a shot at Billy Fives. So,
Oh shit! How dare you?
uh,
By the way,
but yeah, no, yeah,
taking shots. Other than me having heat with Marco right now, who did have time to come over and watch a 4 hour pay per view at my house, if nothing else. Blake and Earl were over, and so between Marco's baby, Earl and Blake, I think someone was asleep during the whole, like combined through the whole pay per view. The
that's funny.
all three of them nodding off through the whole thing.
Jesus. Oh, that's pretty funny. I'm glad you had to deal with that, and not me.
Well, which
So.
part? I mean, there was nothing to deal with. It was nice this time around.
But
Here, let me.
really, I feel like this though. I feel like Blake sleeping would piss you off.
No, I love it. I love it because it's like clockwork. You can set your watch by. As soon as Blake is eaten and Blake is blazed, within 45 minutes, Blake will be sleeping. It's every show, every time he comes over. So like all the predictable things happen, including that Blake showed up with his own food and didn't call and ask if anyone wanted anything from where he was going. And then what was nice is I buy the pay-per-view, and since it's not really an event, I didn't like really invite people over. And
Right.
in all honesty, Blake started it by inviting himself a few weeks ago.
Right. Right.
Then so like spontaneously Marco and Earl decided to buy food. So before I knew it, there were pizza and wings here. I made out better than I usually do at these things.
Yeah, you weren't complaining.
Usually I'm just out $60. But this time I actually I got to eat a bunch of food too.
Jeez. Well, I'm glad you guys had a good time. I watched it with a Canadian and a Marylandic person. I don't know what the correct term is for the, but yeah, and it's funny because they don't know wrestling, but Jericho comes out, and our Canadian friend CJ says, "Oh, is that Chris Jericho?" I was like, "How the hell do you know who Chris Jericho is?" She's like, "Oh, he's from Canada. He's a god. He's a goat.
Every Canadian knows of every famous Canadian."
Right. Well, it's funny because I asked her, she's from, the Calgary, Edmonton area. And I asked about Bret Hart. Is the Hart family really as big as they make it seem? And she's like, "Oh yeah." I was like, "Really?" Like, I thought it was just Bret Hart working everybody. And she's like, "No, that's like they're a name." I'm like, "Wow."
They're like Canadian royalty, probably.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So pretty wild, they are. But yeah. So
Did you point out
crazy shit.
that Kenny Omega and Christian were
I did, and Christian were, yes, I did. I did. Every time a Canadian came out, I was like, "They're Canadian." Yeah, yeah.
That's funny.
So, but yeah, so I think November 7th. I think we thought this was going to be the end, but I really think it's the beginning.
Hmm.
Like the resurgence, the rebirth. After I pin Billy Fives, and I think that's going to be the start.
Is that how is it go? You're gonna pin him?
I mean, this may be his retirement.
You're not gonna like knock him out or anything like that?
No, don't don't do that.
You said the other day you're gonna kick him unconscious. I just want to know. I just want to know what the
Don't
game.
do that.
I just want to know what the game plan is.
There's no game plan. I'm gonna beat him, and it's gonna start the resurgence of my career. I'm gonna give myself 1 year, 2022, see what happens, and yeah, that's it.
So here's my plan: is that hopefully he doesn't kill you, but that he really fucks you up really bad. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the bloody face print you leave on the concrete. I'm going to take a rag and get an impression of it, and that's going to be your merch going forward. Will be that. It'll be like I survived Billy Fives, and all I got was this crappy T-shirt, or this bloody T-shirt, and we'll sell those at once your jaw heals. We'll sell those at your other matches.
Oh God, you're ridiculous. Well, this is a good episode. I think I needed a wrestling talk. I think it was good. I don't get to talk wrestling much.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you doing?
Right,
are you still driving, or what are you doing?
So I'm actually.
You're parked at some food place, aren't you?
Look, I got to go pick up my packages at the store, UPS store, and then I got to go to Publix. I'm just saying.
All right. So it's a double food run because your packages at Publix are going to be food that people sent you to try on TikTok.
Well, oh, right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. So all right. Well, that's okay because the thing just stuttered again anyway. So I think.
All right, goodbye.
I think from now on I'm going to have to just reboot the entire computer before I record an episode with you because obviously there's some issue going on here.
Yeah, it is. Goodbye.
All right.